Imagine digging up someone's body 9 months after they died. Now imagine putting that body on trial in a courtroom. Sound crazy? Well, in the year 1897, Pope Stephen VI did exactly that. He put the previous pope on trial. The only problem, that pope had been dead for 9 months. In January 1897, something unbelievable happened in Rome. Pope Stephen VI ordered his men to dig up a grave. But this wasn't just any grave. It was the tomb of Pope Formosus. Formosus had died 9 months earlier. He'd been buried with full honors in St. Peter's Basilica. Stephen's men pulled the rotting corpse from the ground. They dressed it in papal robes. Then they carried it to the papal court. They propped the dead body on a throne. A young deacon stood behind the corpse. His job was to answer questions for the dead pope. Think about the last time you saw something truly shocking. Maybe a car accident or a scary movie scene. Now multiply that feeling by 100. That's what people felt watching this trial. The court was filled with bishops and nobles. Everyone sat in stunned silence. They watched as Stephen screamed at a corpse. Stephen asked the body questions about its time as pope. The deacon gave nervous answers, but Stephen wasn't interested in real answers. He'd already decided Formosus was guilty. The whole trial was just a theater. Dark, twisted theater. The trial lasted for several days. Stephen accused Formosus of breaking church laws. He said Formosus had taken the job illegally. He claimed Formosus was ambitious and power-hungry. The irony was thick. Here was Stephen, putting on this insane show, and he was calling someone else power-hungry. This event became known as the Cadaver Synod. Cadaver means dead body. Synod means a church council or meeting. History has never seen anything quite like it. Even in an age of wild medieval drama, this stood out. Have you ever wondered how far someone would go for revenge? So why would anyone do something this crazy? The answer lies in medieval church politics. And trust me, medieval church politics were brutal. They made modern politics look like a kindergarten playground. Pope Formosus had made powerful enemies during his life. He'd switched sides in political battles. He'd crowned kings and then turned against them. One of those kings was Lambert of Spoleto. Lambert's family hated Formosus with a burning passion. When Formosus died, Lambert's supporters saw their chance. They helped Stephen VI become the next pope. But Stephen owed them big time. They wanted revenge on Formosus, even though he was dead. So Stephen gave them what they wanted. He gave them the Cadaver Synod. Think about a time when you felt pressured by friends. Maybe they wanted you to do something you didn't like. You probably felt stuck between loyalty and doing what's right. Stephen faced that same pressure, except his friends were powerful noble families, and they didn't just want him to skip class. They wanted him to desecrate a grave. There was also personal hatred involved. Stephen might have genuinely hated Formosus. Some historians think Stephen believed his own accusations. Maybe he thought Formosus had wronged him personally. Hatred and politics mixed. The result was this horrible spectacle. The Catholic Church was different back then. Popes weren't chosen by cardinals in secret meetings. Powerful families fought over the position. They used violence, bribery, and manipulation. Becoming pope meant having the right connections. It meant making deals with the right people. Stephen was trapped in this system. He needed support from Lambert's family. Without them, he could lose everything. So he gave them their grotesque trial. He sacrificed his dignity and Formosus's memory, all to keep his power. Can you imagine feeling so trapped that you'd do the unthinkable? After the trial ended, things got even worse. The court found Formosus guilty of all charges. Stephen declared all of Formosus's papal acts invalid. Every bishop Formosus had ordained. Their ordinations were cancelled. Every decision he'd made, reversed. Then Stephen ordered the body to be punished. Guards ripped the expensive papal robes off the corpse. They cut off the 3 fingers Formosus used for blessings. These were the fingers popes used to make the sign of the cross. Removing them was deeply symbolic. It meant Formosus could never bless anyone again. The mutilated body was thrown into a common grave, but Stephen wasn't done yet. A few days later, he had the body dug up again. This time, guards tied weights to it. They threw it into the Tiber River. The river was Rome's main waterway. Dumping the body there was the ultimate insult. Imagine throwing away someone's most precious possession, maybe their wedding ring or a family photo. That feeling of wrongness. Romans felt that times 1,000. A pope's body was sacred. Treating it like garbage shocked everyone. But the story doesn't end there. A monk found Formosus's body downstream. He pulled it from the river and hid it. Later, after Stephen fell from power, Formosus was reburied. The church gave him proper honors again. His body finally found peace. The treatment of Formosus's corpse showed how crazy things had gotten. The papacy had become a prize in political games. Sacred traditions meant nothing. Power was everything. And the dead weren't even safe from revenge. Would you risk your life to give someone a proper burial? Pope Stephen VI didn't enjoy his victory for long. The Cadaver Synod horrified people across Europe. Even in brutal medieval times, this was too much. Romans began to turn against Stephen. Whispers of discontent grew into shouts. A few months after the trial, an earthquake hit Rome. Medieval people believed earthquakes were signs from God. They thought God was angry about the trial. Fear spread through the city. People wondered what other disasters might come. That same year, a revolt broke out. Angry citizens and clergy rose against Stephen. They broke into the papal palace. Guards captured Stephen and dragged him away. They threw him in prison. Shortly after, someone strangled him in his cell. Stephen's reign ended just 15 months after it began. The church tried to undo the damage. Pope Theodore II, who came after Stephen, reversed everything. He declared the Cadaver Synod invalid. Formosus's acts as pope were restored. The bishops he'd ordained were bishops again. The church tried to pretend the trial never happened. Think about trying to unsay something really hurtful. You can apologize and take it back, but the damage is already done. People remember. The Cadaver Synod was like that. The church could reverse its decisions, but it couldn't erase the memory. Europe would never forget. The next few decades were chaotic for the papacy. Popes rose and fell quickly. Some lasted months, others just weeks. Noble families fought over control. The church's reputation suffered terribly. The Cadaver Synod became a symbol. It showed how far the papacy had fallen from grace. Eventually, the church recovered its stability. But it took generations. The memory of the Cadaver Synod lingered. It reminded everyone what happens when politics corrupts sacred institutions. When power becomes more important than principles. Do you think institutions can fully recover from such scandals? The Cadaver Synod remains one of history's strangest events. A dead pope is put on trial by his successor, a body desecrated for political revenge, and a church that lost its way in pursuit of power. It shows how fear and hatred can make people do terrible things, even things that seem absolutely insane. The story reminds us that power corrupts in every age. If this story shocked you, hit that like button. Drop a comment telling me what surprised you most. And subscribe for more wild history stories you won't believe are true.